Hello everyone, and welcome back to NovaLogos Audio English. Today, we arrive at the crown jewel of all parables. In the previous chapters, we saw the shepherd searching the mountains and the woman sweeping her house. But today, the search happens through a father's waiting eyes. We are exploring the parable of the Prodigal Son, or as the Catholic Bible beautifully titles it, the parable of the lost son. This is not just a story about a rebellious young man. It is a masterclass in Metanoia, the Greek word for repentance, or a fundamental change of mind. It challenges our human ideas of fairness and replaces them with the logic of God's unconditional mercy. If you have ever felt that you've gone too far to come back, this lesson is for you. Let's dive into the language of distance, decision, and divine celebration. Section 1. The narrative of departure and return. Let's listen to the heart of the narrative from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 15. Pay close attention to the contrast between the source, kogisies, and the source. A certain man had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, "Father, give me the share of the estate that should come to me." So the father divided the property between them. After a few days, the younger son collected all his belongings and set off to a distant country, where he squandered his inheritance on a life of dissipation. When he had freely spent everything, a severe famine struck that country, and he found himself in dire need. He longed to eat his fill of the pods on which the pigs fed, but nobody gave him anything. Coming to his senses, he thought, "How many of my father's hired workers have more than enough food to eat, but here am I, dying from hunger. I shall get up and go to my father, and I shall say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I no longer deserve to be called your son. Treat me as you would treat one of your hired workers.' So he got up and went back to his father." Section 2. Vocabulary Deep Dive. The weight of words. This narrative uses powerful verbs to describe a downward spiral and a sudden upward turn. First, the word squander. To squander means to waste something, especially money or time, in a reckless or foolish manner. The son squandered his inheritance. In English, we often warn people, don't squander your opportunities. It implies losing something that cannot easily be replaced. Second, the phrase, life of dissipation. Dissipation refers to overindulgence in physical pleasures. It's a wasted life. The Catholic context uses this to describe the spiritual emptiness that follows when we turn away from God. Third, a key phrase, coming to his senses. This is the English idiomatic expression for the son's internal awakening. It means to begin to think reasonably or to realize the truth of a situation. When you finally understand a difficult English concept after hours of frustration, you could say, "I finally came to my senses and saw the pattern." Fourth, look at the word deserve. The son says, "I no longer deserve to be called your son." To deserve means to be worthy of something because of your actions. This is the logic of the world. You get what you earn. But as we will see, the Father operates on the logic of grace, which gives us what we don't deserve. Finally, the word estate or inheritance. This refers to the money or property left to someone. By asking for it early, the son was essentially saying he wished his father were dead. This adds a layer of deep pain to the father's eventual forgiveness. Section 3. Symbolic Wisdom. The Catholic Heart of Repentance. In Catholic spirituality, this parable is the ultimate image of the sacrament of reconciliation. The far country of the soul, the distant country, isn't just a place on a map, it's a state of mind. It's whenever we think we can be happy by being completely independent of our Creator. The Father's gaze. The text says, while he was still a long way off, his Father caught sight of him. This means the Father was already looking. He was waiting every day. God's 하느님의 mercy is proactive. He is looking for us before we even finish our prayer of repentance. The best robe and the ring. These are not just gifts. The robe represents honor, the ring represents authority, and the sandals represent freedom. Slaves often went barefoot. The Father doesn't just forgive him. He restores his identity as a beloved son. Section 4. Advanced language pattern. No longer, but. The Son prepares a speech. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as a hired worker. This. No longer A, but B. Structure is excellent for describing a change in status or a shift in perspective. He is no longer a student, but a teacher. He is no longer a student, but a teacher. This is no longer a hobby, but my full-time career. Using this pattern helps you highlight a transformation. It contrasts the past with the present in a way that is very clear to the listener. Section 5. Practical application. The courage to return. How does the lost son apply to our journey of learning and living? First, recognize the famine in your progress. If you feel spiritually or intellectually empty, it might be because you've wandered away from your original purpose. Don't try to fill the hunger with pods, meaningless distractions. Second, prepare your return speech. Sometimes we need to be humble. If you've neglected your English studies or a relationship, simply say, I've been away, but I am back now. The act of returning is more important than the excuse for leaving. Third, accept the celebration. Many of us are like the older brother, whom we will discuss briefly. We think we have to work for love, but sometimes you just have to let God and others love you. Accept the best robe of a fresh start without feeling guilty about the past. Consolidation and review. Deepening your understanding. Let's review the key phrases that define this masterpiece of mercy. He squandered his property. He wasted what was valuable. Use squander when talking about lost time, money, or talent. Coming to his senses. The turning point. The moment of clarity when you realize you need to change your direction. I no longer deserve. The language of humility. But remember, in the Father's house, love is not something you earn. It is a gift. While he was still a long way off. This is the heart of God's mercy. He is waiting and watching for you to take that first step toward home, moved with compassion. A love so strong it feels physical pain for the other. This is the emotion that drives the Father to run toward his Son, lost and is found. The ultimate theme of Part 2. Everything that was lost can be recovered through the power of a lasia ayan, lasia lamo doa, return. Divided the property. The Father respects our freedom even when we choose to leave, but he is always ready for our return. A life of dissipation. A warning against losing our focus on what truly matters. It reminds us of the emptiness of living without a spiritual center. Thank you for joining us for this special 10-minute exploration of Chapter 8. Whether you are in the far country or standing at the door, know that there is a robe and a ring waiting for you. If this story of unconditional love moved you, please like and subscribe. In Chapter 9, we will continue Part 2 by looking at the parable of the Good Samaritan, exploring how this received mercy must flow outward to our neighbors. Until then, remember, you are always a beloved child. Goodbye.